And Dave, before we start talking about the last night's game and the Giants' struggles, let's start off with something positive. Congratulations being named the play-by-play broadcaster for NBC's MLB Sunday Leadoff. Starting this Sunday, you're going to be calling Pirates, Blue Jays, and from the 95.7 The Game family, and obviously Shasky and I, just a big shout-out. It's a big opportunity, and
awesome.
We look forward to hearing you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's it. He's like, yeah, great. Now let's get into the call.
Dave, last night.
No,
Oh my God.
no.
I had to start off
I will
there.
say, let me. I know, I appreciate it. Let me just say thank you. It's a cool. I already work for NBC, our local affiliate, and so it feels like a good partnership, and I'm excited to do it. So thank you.
Well, and I heard you on the early coverage for the PGA Championship. You were doing a great job on that. So I know you've been busy as heck the last couple of weeks. But let's start with last night. Like, the emotional roller coaster. The game starts with the Corbin Carroll, triple. He throws it off his helmet. It's like something you'd see at West Sunset. And then he scores on that play. And it's like, oh, my gosh, are you kidding me? Devers hits a moonshot. Just some incredible defensive plays from Adames the last couple of days. And they get out of that inning in the eighth. And you're thinking, here we go. They got 2 outs, runner on first, and then there's the catcher interference, and just it feels like the whole thing just kind of explodes. They go to Gage instead of staying with Killian there, and you get Marte to be on the right side, which he's been struggling this year, but overall, like, he's a better hitter from the right side in his career, and he gives up the home run, and that just... I don't even know, man. I felt bad for Tony Vitello. The guy needed a hug after the game.
Yeah, he was down. And look, I mean, I don't blame Tony for that. You got to win that game. You got to find a way to win that game. You're too close too many times. You got to win that game. Can you quibble with the decision-making there at the end? Yeah, you can make an argument in either direction. I didn't have any problem with it. Matt's been really good. Killian, to me, was, he had maxed out in the inning before and got out of it and then had to sit down, and then he comes out and you get in a little trouble. And I was okay with the idea of let's get somebody in here who's fresh and a new look and turn Marte around. He hadn't hit from that side in the game. I was cool with that. Or I guess he had his last at bat against Miller. But, I do, to bolster your point, I have scar tissue about Marte from the right side. I do. I would never want, I'd much rather face him hitting left-handed than right-handed. I know the numbers this year say the power is there from the left side and not the right side, but we know that's not going to hold up. And we also know that it was a spot where a base hit did you in just as much as, well, maybe not just as much, but a base hit was as damaging as a home run in a lot of ways. So you can quibble with that, but that's not the reason they lost the game. I mean, you can't score 3 runs in a span of 7 pitches in the second inning and then not score again. You can't walk the world in the late innings and expect to get away with it. I mean, I think a factor yesterday was Eric Miller couldn't throw a strike, and Killian had to come in and, with the help of the defense, rescue him. If Miller just has his normal inning, Eric's been great. Yeah. But, for whatever reason here coming off the injured list, he hasn't been as sharp. If Miller throws strikes there, then he has a cleaner inning. Killian just starts fresh in the 9th, and probably you finish it off no problem. And you don't even have to see those guys coming around another time. So, look, that's the way this is going right now for this team. Like, there are a lot of positives, things going better, and there's enough going wrong that they just can't get the whole thing going in the right direction.
Well, it's a good point, Dave, because the positive last night was Landon Roop, right? 6 innings, 7 hits, just 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts. He was great, and it's a double gut punch almost when you have that performance. You had the lead, you give it up, you get walked off, and that pitch was so low too. It was such a bad ball, and he just moonshotted it over to left. It just speaks to how good of a hitter Ketel Marte and how clutch the guy has been over the years. But when you squander an opportunity like that, followed by the game before where you had no chance, you give up a grand slam in the first inning and the game was over before it even started with Robbie Ray. You lose a couple people in Jung Hoo Lee and Willie Adames. You got what you needed from the starting pitcher and you squandered it. So it's Giants fans this morning are feeling like, what needs to change, I guess, going forward with this team? And I guess I'm just asking you on behalf of them, Dave.
Well, I mean, look, Eric needs to do his job. He's a really important part of the bullpen, and I have faith that he will. His stuff is up this year. I think sometimes these late inning relievers, when the stuff improves, he's worked on new weapons. His sinker is an unbelievable weapon. To me, it's changed my whole outlook for Eric Miller. But I think sometimes when that happens for these late inning guys, they have a problem harnessing their stuff. The stuff all of a sudden is moving so much in a different way. And there are nights like that, not to make an excuse, but I think overall it's been a positive for Eric to prove the way he has. But he needs to be really solid without Ryan Walker performing. They're thin down there. And Miller is one of the 2 or 3 guys that I think you feel like you can really rely on. And they need him. So that's one thing. Susac needs to play more. Daniel Susac needs to be the guy for now, and I think he will be. He's healthy. His arms looks good. The elbow problem seems to have gone away. You cross your fingers and hope that doesn't come back. I felt bad for him because he did make a mistake there. The catcher's interference was a big reason why they lost the game, but Daniel Susac had an awesome game. Awesome game. So he needs to play more. Devers is doing a nice job. They need to find a way. The biggest issue facing this team right now, and it's in a way it's almost unsolvable. How do Devers, Schmidt, and Eldridge get in the lineup at the same time? And I don't know how you do that. I don't. That's a really hard problem to solve. One of those guys, Schmidt or Eldridge, is going to have to be able to play left field, I think. And at least temporarily, maybe you can get away with it. It's not pretty. Eldridge, they've shelved that, and maybe they need to consider that again. I don't know. But it can somehow find a way to just be half decent out there. That could be a temporary, because Drew Gilbert's really struggling. Is out many more weeks probably. Jung-Hoo Lee is out probably today. Hopefully he'll be back when we get back home on Friday. No easy solutions, but I think from the lineup perspective, Susac in there and find a way to have Schmidt, Eldridge, and Devers all in there at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, look, right now it's really hard to defend just the construction of the roster. I think I look at who's available on a given night, and I think it's difficult. You got 4 lefties in the bullpen. You've got 3 catchers. I know they view Rodriguez as kind of like a guy who can play other positions. My goodness, we played Haas in left and Rodriguez in right in the last 2 weeks. There's 2 catchers, and it feels like they're at minimum an outfielder short, if not 2 outfielders short, and they have too many infielders. I don't know. I'm really struggling with how this team has put together their depth chart on who's available every day right now. And I know the injuries are tough, but I'm very perplexed.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I think I haven't updated it, but as of 10 days ago, the Giants had the lowest offensive production of an outfield group of any team in baseball. Last. So obviously that is a huge weakness right now. But if you think about the roster construction at the start of the year, Ramos, Lee, Bader, it's like, that seems like a reasonable idea of what your outfield's going to look like most days, maybe not every day. I think one thing they got to consider now is have to start platooning a little bit more out in the outfield and try to play some matchups more. It really hurts that Drew Gilbert's just scuffling, man. His at-bats last night were rough. And so without any offensive contribution from Drew, because he's a guy you can match up at least against a right-hander, and he's a good defender, that hurts their depth. And they don't have obvious answers down at AAA. They don't. That it is a big issue for this team. And,
you bring up Drew Gilbert. He reminds me defensively of Gregor Blanco. I just think he's solid. He can play a lot of positions. He's versatile. Obviously, Gregor was established, but I like the player. We'll get to Eldridge, though, because I think this is the important one. I'm not really sure what the plan is. And I think a lot of Giants fans are just struggling. Every day the lineup gets released, and every day they're, complaining about who's in, who's not, and how to find this guy. I'm not sure I understand what they want from him. And I'm not sure that they have a plan on how to utilize him. And you're saying, hey, get creative. If you were to ask them, what is their plan? Because it feels like they don't really have one. I don't know what to say. I'm just frustrated. Like either you're going to use him or you're not, or you're going to put him down in AAA, because what's happening right now, it feels like everybody's frustrated.
I mean, well, let me ask you this. So do you think Giants fans would be less frustrated if they just sent him back down? Do you think that would make Giants fans happy?
I don't think this current thing is conducive for anyone right now. I honestly do think people would be happier with him down on AAA, because if you're saying he's only up to appease the fan base, that's not a developmental plan for a player. Like, that's a PR
Well, no,
stunt.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, if people are unhappy now with the way it is, the plan now is we need our best 26 players on this major league team. We're 9 games below 500.
Sure.
We can't wait any longer. The best players have to be here. The whole point of having a franchise with minor league players, with development, with coaches, with staff, with the draft, with scouting, the entire point of all of it is to service your big league team and make your major league team better. And so if you think Bryce Eldridge is one of your 26 best guys, which I think the Giants do believe that, then you should have him on your major league roster. Now, there are counterpoints to that. If you think this is killing his development, that would be a negative. That would maybe motivate you to make a move in the other direction. He's been here for 2 weeks. This is not killing his development. Everybody needs to chill out. Like, he's working with the best coaches this organization has every day, grinding it out, studying video, taking extra batting practice. That is, I'm not saying that's as important as playing in games at AAA, but you could make an argument that it is. And so the idea that this is like torpedoing his future value.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Torpedoing. We got Dave back? Okay.
Sorry, your screen cut.
I think we got you back.
Dave, can you hear us?
Yeah. I got too mad. I ruined the Wi-Fi.
No, but I think what you're saying, no, I appreciate, because we're all passionate. We want the same thing. We want the team to win, right? And I appreciate you saying that he's working with the best, because I agree with you. This is where all the best tech, all the best coaching. I mean, look at Arise. Look at what Arise has done this year defensively alongside Ron Washington. I think that's a testament to what this staff can do with an individual player. I guess where it gets frustrating, and the counter by a lot of fans would be something to this effect. Well, if you think that the best 26 are out there, is Will Brennan one of the best 9 every day? And is Eric Haas in left field the best 9 lineup that you could put out there? Like, that's the counter from, the lunatic fringe. And we think Bryce should be a part of that top 9, I guess.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think they agree with you. And they're just trying to figure out how can we actually do that when Devers is going to play every day, when Schmidt's going to be in the lineup every day, when Arise, Adames, and Chapman are all going to be in there every day. How do you fit those guys in there? That is a problem. It is. And it's hard to solve. And they got to figure out a way to solve it by creating some positional flexibility from somebody. And look, this is why, Bryce Eldridge is a very special talent. Very. But this is why when you draft players who have a limited defensive profile, it does limit their overall value to you, because Bryce is not equipped to go play a bunch of other spots. And it puts you in a position where you have a lot less flexibility. That is why when you look at the Baseball America Top 100, it's shortstop, center fielders, catcher, like the guys who can be flexible pieces are more valuable. And that's just a fact. And it doesn't mean that Bryce can't be a pillar of this team for a long time to come. He can be. I think he will be. I mean, he's striking out a lot. Aaron Judge struck out 45% of the time as a rookie when he came up, and he was 3 years older than Bryce Eldridge. 3 years older. But, Aaron is a similar body type. Judge and Eldridge talked a lot during spring training, that Team USA game. There are a lot of similarities between those two guys. It took Aaron Judge a long time to learn how his body moves, to just dial it in to where he can tap into the incredible natural ability he has. Bryce is going to get there, but it is a problem right now. And so I get the frustration of Giants fans, but I guess here's my main pushback. My main pushback is the idea that they're ruining his future by not playing him every day. That's baloney. And I want to stop hearing that. That is not what's going on. This guy's got a long future ahead tons of development, lots of reps, getting great coaching, great support. Ask Bryce if he wants to go back down and, fly Southwest to Las Vegas and be in AAA and, wake up at 4 a.m. for a flight to your next town, or whether he'd rather be here working with these guys, learning from Chapman and Devers and all the Giants hitting people and whatnot. Like, the idea that this is ruining Bryce Eldridge is just stupid.
Dave Flemming joining us here on the Morning Roast, Giants broadcaster and 95.7 The Game Giants insider. Dave, we just had Keith Law on, MLB insider for The Athletic. I know you know Keith. He's been around for a very long time, very tapped in on all things farm system. And, he said it might be time to look ahead to 2027 for the Giants. And I know a lot of Giants fans also feel that same way, and it's early. It's May 20th. I guess my question to you is that a lot of Giants fans look up to you as a strong voice for the organization and for the fans. What would you say to Giants fans that on May 20th are feeling like, hey, it's time to scrap this thing, it's time to tear it down and try again for next year? What would you say to them?
Here's what I would say is every frustration that Giants fans are feeling is being felt times 2 inside the Giants franchise. The front office is furious with the way this is going. The new manager is furious with the way this is going. The players are really unhappy. And, I don't want to use the word embarrassed, but I think the players are embarrassed to a degree about the way that they're playing. So the frustration is totally legitimate. This season, the Giants had real playoff aspirations and expectations. And on paper, I thought they were a playoff team, and it's going to be real hard for them to recover from this. But here's the other thing I would say is if Keith is right and they're not going to make the playoffs, which I'm not saying that, but if he's right, this year doesn't mean, well, pack it in, we're done. There's tons of things you can still accomplish this year. And if you get to a point where you're really things really aren't working, it's still way too early to just pull the plug and say we're benching this guy but if you get to a point, then you can start to experiment a little more, and you can use the season to figure out how do we fit these pieces together and try something new. So that is available to them down the road if things take a sideways turn. The Giants are not going to, if you've learned anything, if any of us have learned anything from Buster the first year and a half of Buster being in charge, it's the guy is not afraid to make a decision, to pivot, to decide something's not working. Like, he is not afraid of that, and to take some chances. And you know what? You could say that maybe it's cost the Giants something here in the first couple years of his tenure. You could argue that, but I would also argue that sitting around and waiting is not a good strategy. And you can pivot now, and you can pivot again later. Nothing is set forever. And so this year, it doesn't mean if the Giants aren't going to get to their ultimate goal this year, and they still can, but if they don't, there's a lot still to play for the future of this franchise, a lot. And it makes it fun. For me, I go to the ballpark every day feeling like, hey, Casey Schmidt, is this guy really turning into a hell of a player? When Eldridge is in there, let's watch those at-bats closely. Can Devers be like the guy who, for the next 7 years, is a 35 home run hitter for the Giants? Can Jung-Hoo Lee learn to steal bases, to get a couple more bunts down? Is Daniel Susak your future catcher? This guy has a chance to be a really good player. How about Jesus Rodriguez? There's all these questions when things aren't going the way you want them to every day. To get it, but it's frustrated. I do. You can still get something out of all of this.
All right, Dave, we're up against it, but I want to ask you, you work with, obviously, the YMCA and is sponsoring this particular segment, and I've seen a lot of drills with Ron Washington and Luis Arraez. As someone who's been around this team and seeing the way that Arraez has just incredibly taken this leap forward defensively, we had our first little all-star practice yesterday. What would you tell if you were in front of a bunch of young coaches and a bunch of young players at the youth level? What would be something that you would tell them, a drill, a tactic, maybe an approach to get better at practicing the game of baseball in the infield? What's something maybe you've seen from working with Ron Washington and watching him work with Arraez that you could translate to the youth?
Well, I asked Ron about this. I'm trying to move so I get a little better Wi-Fi. I don't know. One of the
it's
Wi-Fi's
okay.
just going.
We appreciate that, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah. I would say this. Ron believes strongly in sticking to your routine, finding a drill or something that works and really working at it. And he believes that a lot of it is also about mentality and attitude. And so I love that about Ron Washington as a coach. He is not just a guy who goes through the physical drills. He helps these guys believe in themselves. Here's what you're going to face. Here's what you can do about it. And he gives them belief that they can pull it off. And so whatever drill coaches who are listening or teams, are planning out, if you combine that, and Ron basically, come to a game early, come to a Giants game for batting practice when the gates open and watch him down there. He puts the towel down. The little simple drills that he does, you can probably find them on YouTube. Like the little simple drills that he does, anybody can replicate. There's no high tech anything about it. Nothing is high tech. Everything is old school. He's been doing the same stuff since 1980, basically. And it works. It works. But combine that stuff with the attitude that he has and the mentality of, I'm going to support my players. I'm going to push them to be the best versions of themselves, and you can accomplish a lot. And he's inspirational, man. This dude's 74 years old. He's been in baseball for 58 years, and he's just he's a joy to be around every day. He's working his tail off. He posts up. I just saw him walk out a few minutes ago. He'll go post up. He'll sit on his bucket, and he just waits. And people come to him, and he's ready to work. He's got the old massage gun keeping him loose, and he's one of a kind, man.